is live, and we are back live for real this time. We hope. Virtually, for whatever real is. I'm here with Jamie DLux, and I will do another introduction of Jamie DLux, who is a digital artist. I'd say primarily. Like, if I had to describe you, that's what I would say. But I was wondering, you are more than that, of course. You're also a musician and a researcher and what I would call a truther, and not someone to be trifled with. And you've gotten into and you've been at it for a while, huh?
Feels like a lot longer, honestly.
Yeah.
This shit wears you out. It wears you out.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. It's like almost.
Yeah.
It's a challenge sometimes to keep going at it. The way they attack you and stuff.
Like I feel like I could feel like it feels like it's physically exhausting.
Yeah, right.
You know, and it's nothing physical at all about it, really.
Right.
But if you that way.
Right. Yeah. And you've been censored from YouTube. We were just talking about it. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Sorry for the technical difficulties. There was some kind of issue with Rockfin. Now we have people tuning back in, so that's cool. We'll talk about some things before we get into deep with the HIV thing, which we want to talk about. Oh, I was going to say, if you don't know Jamie DLux, you would know the Bill Gates video where he splooged himself, and then you would know Jamie DLux. Was that your most popular video ever?
Honestly, that was... And that was a 10-second clip. And then a month later, I had found this clip a while back and I forgot about it. I saved it, and I just so happened to hear Fauci slip up and say, we shared some stuff with the Chinese scientists.
Right.
And so that one actually got more. That's got it's only like a 10-second clip too on Twitter, but yeah, it's got I think like 2 million and close to it.
It's funny the way Twitter works, right? Like you have like a random idea one day, or you just you just happen to find a random clip, and all of a sudden it's the biggest thing and it went viral. Yeah, I covered it when you did that because it actually made news. Like it genuinely made CNN actually comment on the clip, even though it was the clip was.
I just thought I was like, he just like splooged in his pants, you know.
Yeah.
He spelled it viral load or whatever.
Yeah. It was funny because the clip was pretty old by the time you posted it. I mean, it was many months ago. It was Anderson Cooper saying that they presenting the idea of taking away people's benefits if they weren't vaccinated, right? And then, of course, it seemed to make Bill Gates like giggle and smile, and so you put in a little animation with it and stuff. But then I saw CNN actually having to comment and say, "Oh, well, we weren't suggesting."
Yeah, I thought that was crazy too. Yeah, you messaged me around then, saying, I was like, "Yeah, I know it's nuts," you know, like all these fact checks just from that or whatever, and it was an old clip. I thought it'd be funny to make him splooge because he was so excited.
Right.
That's all it was. It was just a joke. Like I just made a new little 7-second clip of Klaus Schwab getting hit in the face with a double dildo. You know, just I threw it out there. So I don't think that one will go viral though.
Well, you're onto the right things. I mean, what was your journey in general through the pandemic? Like when it started and everything?
Well, I'm in a redneck state, South Carolina, so it hasn't been too bad here.
Right.
You know, I haven't had to work. My actual job, I'm a car photographer at a dealership. Like I take pictures of the cars, like all the cars, and I do like all the graphic design, like little advertisements and stuff. That's why, you know, I have a lot of experience with it just because that's part of my job, you know.
Right.
But I mean, we've been busy. I'm getting a little worried now, even though we're still keeping up sales and stuff, but. You know, the new cards, we haven't really got in for a while. I mean, we still do, but not as many. Definitely not. It's like slim pickings. But I don't know, because we know what they're trying to do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know they're not building cars. Some car manufacturers aren't building cars at all anymore. I used to be in the car business too. I used to sell cars.
Yeah, well, I don't know if your dealership had a guy that took pictures of all the cars, put all the stock photos together.
Yeah,
it's a BDC. It's BDC Business Development Center.
Yep,
that's where I work.
Yep,
I've been there 8 years. I mean, I can't complain. It's cool. It's the coolest job I ever had.
That's cool, and it's cool to have any kind of a job where you're allowed, and actually you work not anonymously. What would you say? Because you don't use your real name on social media the way I do, and I realized that there are good reasons not to. But do they know about like what you're doing online?
They know about it. See, to me, it's not my birth name, but I'm a musician, and as a teenager, we were like, we need stage names. We need stage names. Nothing ever stuck, but DLux stuck when I was 17. My friend Judd, he's like, can take away the E's. He's like, Jamie, DLux, like that or whatever. He died the next year, so I kept it. So, it just kind of, it's a stage name, but it's, Nikki Sixx doesn't go by his real name either, but.
Right.
But I mean, my name is Jamie though, but,
well, yeah. I was just thinking when people see, is that if they were to Google you and they know your real name and they know you by your real name, it wouldn't necessarily come up with your Twitter account like the way it does for me, which I realized in retrospect, it'd be better if I had a nickname maybe too, right? Because I was trying to get a job, and I don't think a lot of jobs like what we talk about.
Honestly, man, my boss is very supportive of me.
Cool.
And especially if I like doing podcasts and stuff like that, like I've had to leave work to do like tinfoil hat and earlier ones. He's very supportive of me.
Cool.
So I'm pretty lucky there. I got it off well when I was doing all the Hollywood stuff, and it was like a fake clip I did of me doing coke with Charlie Sheen. It's just like as a joke, and I guess they showed it in the break room. Everybody, like even the owner, fucking was cracking up at it or whatever. So I guess luckily I got him on with something funny in the beginning.
That's cool. Well, it is true that people are not all uptight. Not every person is uptight about the kind of stuff we talk about. Not every person, and there are people that are cool with it. So, and if you live in a state like where you're at, it's going to be different than necessarily where I'm at in California. So
I couldn't imagine how it is. I mean, there's been mass people here, all over the place. It's rare now, though, thank God, but it's definitely been comparatively sane compared to other places. But there's still been dumb shit. There's signs on doors and stuff. They don't force it.
Right. So when the whole thing, so I'm curious how you got into the HIV research and stuff, because that's what you've been doing lately, right?
Yeah, mostly. Yeah, I mean, because it's so huge that it's hard. Like I'll still make other videos, but I work full time. I have 2 kids. I'm still a musician, even though I haven't been playing, but we're still recording and practicing. Not because of COVID or anything. It's just we were in a band. The singer moved away right in the beginning of 2020, and then we had a new band, and the drummer moved away. Just that's the reason, But So the reason I got into it was because I saw from the beginning that obviously something wasn't right, and we were looking into Bill Gates already because of Epstein.
Right.
We already started, so I already had that. We already knew who Bill Gates was pretty much, and then all this shit happened, and there he is. So I'm like, no, I'm not gonna listen to Epstein's fucking friends about what to do. Plus, we already knew about some of the stuff, like, the population and all that, like that agenda.
Right.
So it's like, all right, something there right here. But yeah, I guess Fauci just pissed me out so much and stuff because I started looking into them, as I'm sure a lot of people did. And then it's like, oh, they did this before. It's a little different, but it's like the same pattern pretty much. There's so many similarities. It's ridiculous.
Right.
They did this before.
Right.
It's kind of different.
What do you mean? I mean, what did you think of COVID when it first came out? What did you think that it was all a hoax, or did you think that they were just lying about the numbers, or what were your thoughts?
I think from the beginning, I thought it was a hoax.
Mm-hmm.
I'd already been, I don't know if I was already questioning germ theory at that point, but I do now. It's weird because before I was even doing any of this shit, I got off drugs. I was on drugs for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Like 17 years of my life, opiates and methadone.
Mm-hmm.
Smoking up drugs, had a kid, went through a spiritual awakening, all that stuff, because I was an atheist my whole life too until I had a kid. And started meditating and stuff, trying to and this was around when, I don't know if it was maybe Ebola or something. I don't know the year, maybe just say 2015, around then. I remember hearing all this fear shit come out about, I think it was Ebola, I could be wrong. And I meditated on it and stuff, and just intuitively, just there's nothing to worry about. It ain't nothing.
Right.
And I think when I opened my eyes, I saw 555 on the clock. And to me, that, I don't know, these are like signs to yourself. Like if I see some signs, it means something to me. So I don't know.
Right.
I guess I just trust my intuition.
Right. Which a lot of people who did that over COVID versus people who trusted the so-called science. A lot of the people who trusted their intuition ended up kind of being on the right side of things in this case. Although, I think there's an argument. I mean, I think there's an argument for the virus having gotten a lot weaker over time, for one thing, so it's a lot less to worry about now.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue that people weren't getting sick from something, because I've seen it personally too. Mm-hmm. I just don't know what that something is,
Right.
So, but yeah, they did something to make people. They did something. I'll say that definitely.
Yeah, and I would say definitely, like, I was really concerned that it was a pretty serious thing, but in my defense, I think it was a lot worse when it first came out than it is now. Did you ever get COVID yourself?
No. This one day my back hurt for a little bit and I had chills, and I don't think that was, people were telling me it was COVID. I don't think it was. I felt fine the next day,
Right.
So no, I never did. Unless you count that but I don't think it was really. Because after looking at AIDS, it's hard to explain. What I think COVID is essentially a box that they can exploit anything that resembles some kind of symptom similar to it and put it in there to use as a statistic, pretty much, So like any kind of respiratory sickness, any kind of like flu, cold, like anything, sniffles or nothing. If you have if you have a positive PCR test, and there you go, you're a case or whatever. I never even got tested though. That's what I'm saying. Like,
right. Well, I never got it, although I did get tested a few times, but not because I had symptoms. But I'm pretty sure I never got it. I think my wife got it. But she did. We took an at-home test and it said it was negative, but I heard the at-home tests don't work anyway. What do you think? So I guess it's interesting to think. So you think a lot of the people that they say tested positive for COVID didn't didn't have it, basically, which is as a result of the cycle thresholds being too high.
Well, that's one thing, yeah. But even if so, like PCR test. It's not a diagnostic test. It pretty much, what Kerry Mall said is you're looking for a needle in a haystack. What it does is it turns the whole haystack into the needle you're looking for. It picks up a whole handful.
Right.
Pretty much any kind of like, well, it could be cell debris, any kind of contaminant, and it can't really distinguish either one. It's just hard to comprehend because like, it's so hard to comprehend, like at this microscopic level. What is, I wish there was a way they could like put it in a metaphor so we could understand it better. But yeah, that's pretty much what I think. I mean, I'm open to other things, and I do think they did something. I'm just not really sure what they did.
Right. And then you started looking into what Fauci was doing and what Gates was talking about. And then you got into the HIV thing. And are you old? How old are you?
I'm 41.
Okay, so you're like my age. I'm like 43. So you're old enough to remember you lived through AIDS, kind of.
Yeah.
You were younger.
I was born in 80. Born in 80. So like since I was like 1 year old, it's when they announced it was 1981, I believe. So
right.
My whole life pretty much,
Right. Yeah, I remember some of it. I have some personal experience with it. I get into with people with AIDS and stuff back in the 80s.
Really?
So yeah, what does your research show you? I mean, one thing that I think maybe the reason I decided maybe to have you on is I saw that video because I'm curious about HIV too.
Yeah. No,
I saw mostly what's really interesting, and it's different than COVID because with the PCR test, basically, I don't know. I'm pretty sure the PCR test does identify RNA sequences that are similar to what's in COVID, and that they can be accurate if they're run, but that once you start exploding the cycle thresholds and stuff, that it becomes unreliable. But they're actually testing for the virus. They're testing for RNA sequences.
I see where you're going.
Right.
Yeah, I see where you're going.
So whereas with HIV,
they don't for antibodies.
Right. They actually don't test for the virus at all. No. So okay. So it's way different Like with COVID, a lot of people say, oh, they've never isolated the virus or this and that. But they do have the sequence and everything. And there is like a virus that they think they know about that exists and all that. But with HIV, have they ever found have they ever found a virus?
No, they never. See, here's the thing with that though. You see it in real time now, where Fauci and some of them will bend definitions.
Mm-hmm.
Isolated isn't the same thing. That when we like the specific way what it used to mean, it doesn't mean the same anymore. So they can say it, and it's because they it's weird that distort reality. They twist and distort definitions or just change the words.
Mm-hmm.
With the same definition. Damn, it's kind of like that with diseases too. Because I wonder sometimes, like, how do you know it's not this or that? Like, what's just some disease, like, I don't know, I can't, like chicken pox or smallpox. Like, what's the difference there?
Mm-hmm.
I don't really know, because I don't really know much about smallpox, and I know I had chicken pox as a kid, but
mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. Well, whatever with isolate, it's so complicated at that point where my brain can't really handle it. But I do know with the HIV test, they don't test for HIV for like a virus. They test for antibodies that they say are presented because of HIV.
Right.
And that's where the paradox comes in. Why do you think it's been 40 something years? 40 years, just say. No vaccine. Because if you're looking for antibodies in a test, what the vaccine do? It produces antibodies. So there's no way to because it would just say you're HIV positive.
Right.
So that's like one of the biggest flaws they ever did.
Right. And now, and people who tested positive for HIV after getting the COVID vaccine, because there were some cases of that, right?
I heard that, yeah.
In Australia or something where people were testing positive. But even, I guess, in those cases, whatever it was something producing antibodies that were similar.
Well, here's the thing with that, though, because there's a lot of things that produce false positives with, they're pretty much non-specific proteins they're looking for. So it just, it pings positive for these proteins, and they could be triggered by so many. I don't know how much it's up to now, but it's like probably over 100 different things, maybe less than that, maybe like 70, like a flu vaccine, if you had the flu, like all kinds of stuff. There's a really good documentary. Like I'll look for a link and send it to you later if you are interested. Yeah, obviously you're an FBI. It's a really good documentary from 2009 called House of Numbers: Anatomy of an Epidemic, and it'll blow your mind because Fauci's in it too, and you can just see like where they don't make sense. All the experts, and there's all these other, experts too. It's really good documentary that makes sense. From 2009.
Oops, sorry, hold on. Sorry, I was just. So what? So AIDS, acquired immunodeficiency syndrome, they say is from HIV, which is a virus that they can't test for, right? So, which is a virus where they just check for antibodies. So this acquired immunodeficiency syndrome is supposed to be caused by HIV, but is actually just a thing. And then how do you know what the diagnostic is for determining if someone has AIDS? Is that their T cell count or something?
Well, that's just another way that they can say, they can say it's a confirmatory test, but your T cells go up and down all day. Like they fluctuate all day. It's not right. Like I've heard that's not really anything specific, but I mean, they'll use it. What AIDS is all right, all these different diseases that have already been around and have different causes and stuff like tuberculosis, malaria, a whole bunch of other ones. If they can get a positive antibody HIV test, non-specific antibody test to ping positive, and you have any of these diseases that were already around, just say one of them, that's AIDS. They'll just say call it AIDS.
Right. But
that's unfortunately, what comes with that is the medicine that causes the symptoms, the chemotherapy.
Right. So that's kind of where you're going, and also where other scientists have gone with this before, which is to say that the treatment causes the disease. actually,
Yeah.
right? With people that, and I definitely have some questions about this, but it's definitely possible, especially considering now people don't die from HIV, right? So it's
Well,
like,
they
well,
die from like liver disease, and like usually now, like because of medications that cause that kind of stuff.
but now when people get HIV, though, like Magic Johnson and stuff, there are a bunch of people like Magic who get HIV supposedly and get better because of, and I don't know if they say that's because of the new treatments they use or what, but
Yeah,
it's
you want
different.
my
But
you want my opinion?
people don't die of AIDS in America anymore, right?
I don't. I think most like HIV positive people die from like liver failure or. I mean, this is what just stuff that I've heard. Like I've gone deep into this stuff for the last 2 years. Like I've read Inventing the AIDS Virus 3 times. I'm like fascinated by it. Well, I've done all this research and made all these videos over the last 2 years, and then Robert Kennedy comes out with a book, and everything that I found out over the last 2 years independently is verified there, and it blows my mind because it's so big and it's so evil, and like what it's all led to. But going back to Magic Johnson, I made a video where I compare Magic Johnson to Freddie Mercury. And like, well, why is it so different? Because that's always been a question. Why is Magic Johnson fine?
Right.
And yeah, like, people say it's money and stuff. He's like, when he first tested positive, he started taking the medication AZT, and it made him really sick, and he stopped taking it. And that's it. That's the answer.
Right, you
That's
think
the
that's
answer.
the answer? Well, he's not on some kind of new medication because because
you
they
can't-
do give there is a new pill supposedly, right? That people
you
with
can't. I guess you technically can't confirm that he isn't, but I suspect that he's not. Yeah, I
right,
suspect that he's not. I can't
right,
say I can confirm that he did take ACT at first and stopped. Uh, but then you look back and you look at Freddie Mercury, and I don't remember until I made a video about it. It's called "Do You Believe in Magic?" It's on all. It should be on every platform that I'm on, and I compare them both. How pale and frail that Freddie Mercury looked when he died, and he was getting 1,500 milligrams of AZT every day, chemotherapy. I mean, when you have a cancer patient, you give them chemo for a couple weeks maybe, and hope it kills the cancer, but it doesn't kill the patient. But HIV positive people, they would just give it to them until they die.
right.
And they started the dose was high at first, and they started lowering it and lowering it and lowering it over time.
Right.
Hence the longer lifespans. It's so evil. I'm saying it's incomprehensible. I'm just like, there's so much to it.
So they don't give it to people anymore, right? AZT or what?
I can't confirm that either. I know you probably remember hearing about cocktails and stuff. I was kind of younger. I didn't really know anything about. Yeah, so they started giving it with other things, so it wouldn't be as poisonous. And then protease inhibitors. But from what I hear, they're still toxic. Maybe not as toxic, but because there's a lot of people that are HIV positive that say they haven't taken shit, that they just they try to live healthier. They try to eat fruit and fresh fruit and vegetables and stuff because it probably wakes you up a little bit if you don't really know much about it. But
Well, so the only thing that I think it's interesting, and and it is true that I think it's true that they stopped using that treatment, and now people survive who have HIV. My understanding is they came out with some kind of new treatment for it, and that people
protease inhibitors was I think late '90s maybe with David Ho.
Right.
So
So
they're all it's hard to say. They're all they do make them. I don't know if they all have AZT in it, but I think some still do, certain ones, but not. Like I said, it's not as big as the dose and stuff. But they killed a lot of people with that, kids, everything. They really did.
And so, do you think then? What about I was watching the Andy Warhol documentary on Netflix, the latest thing, and then they go through the AIDS thing. And what about the people that died or started getting sick before there was any treatment at all? What about the You know what I
There's a
mean?
reason for that. Then, that's the thing. It's AIDS isn't one thing.
Okay.
It's so that's the way it started. It was mostly just, like if you see drug addicts, and I'm a recovering addict, so I'm not talking shit about them, but you see like meth heads or whatever, and they look like zombies. They're all frail, like they have no immune system, they haven't slept. If I stay up for a couple nights, if I cut my hand or whatever, it doesn't like I'm not even bleeding anymore. Like what's going on? It takes forever to heal. So yeah, like it's years of like long-term drug abuse. Takes toll on you, and especially in the gay community.
You think that
a lot of poppers.
You think that explains all of it, though? I mean, really,
that explains. Well, in the very beginning, it was only 5 cases. That's what it was 5 guys that had something like some similar things. It was Kaposi sarcoma, and that's what started the whole thing. And that's from paupers, because paupers, I had never even heard of them before a couple of years ago, but I guess they're still around here and there.
Yeah, you can get them. You can buy them at
can you get me stuff?
Sex shops. Yeah, you can get them at like sex shops and stuff. I think it's just whatever nitrate or something. It's like VCR amyl nitrate. It's like VCR tape head cleaner. I've tried it. It's just like huffing basically.
Okay. I never tried them, but I heard it's like euphoric and it
I don't know.
Relaxes your sphincter muscles.
Is that right? Yeah,
that's what I don't know from experience. I'm just
they
saying,
also call it Rush, I believe.
I think that's a brand of it or something.
Yeah, because they say it gives you like a head rush or something.
Yeah.
You can get that stuff.
All right. Well, that's good to know. No, I'm not gonna do that. I mean, I would try it just once. You're not gonna get anything from that. I just want to see what it's like.
It's nothing special. If you're used to real drugs, it's nothing special. But I guess
not anymore. But I'm saying,
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But I guess they would like inhale them all night for years. Partying for years like that.
Right.
And it's like me smoking. After a long time, I have a chance of getting really sick from it.
Yeah. What would it take? What would it take for you to switch to vaping? What would I have to do? Because the smoking is, the vaping is not so totally socially acceptable, but it's a little more socially.
Oh no,
acceptable.
I agree with you there. Definitely, I'm like a leper now. Definitely.
Yeah, and it's
I'm taking baby steps because I was on, like I said, I was on drugs so long. I just got off methadone completely 6 years ago. I quit antidepressants in 2020 somehow. I went off antidepressants, so I'm off those now too. A little bit at a time.
Yeah, I've been in the same boat. I was on a methadone and stuff and Xanax.
Really? I had no clue about that.
Yeah, I was on it. I used to take Vicodins, and then I took that stuff for a long time, and then I was on
I didn't
methadone.
know that about you. Yeah, I went to the clinic. My mom did too. We went for 12 years. That shit was hard as shit to get off.
Yeah, it's hard. Did they give you Suboxone or anything?
They never gave us Suboxone.
Or Subutex?
I've heard of it. And I think I tried it once or something, but we got the methadone, like the liquid. You go to the window and take a shot of it.
Oh,
and then
yeah.
we got take homes.
Yeah. I mean to get off the methadone. Yeah.
Oh, you're still on it?
No, I mean to get off of it to give you Suboxone or whatever. So they didn't give you anything when you had to quit?
No, they didn't do that. We just we tapered off over a couple of years. And
wow.
Then,
that's brutal.
I mean, one time I tried to get off. They gave me Neurontin.
Right.
I don't know if you heard. Yeah, they gave me the gabapentin or whatever. But I didn't like that. But it did take the edge off a little bit.
Right.
I respect that about you. I didn't know that about you.
Yeah, and Xanax, and then after that, I was into crystal meth and stuff. So
I don't like the Xanax personally, but I like the speed, all kinds of speed. So.
Yeah, but not anymore, which is good. But now I like mushrooms and cannabis and stuff. Those
Me too.
So
me too. Yeah, respect.
Yeah, so we're on the same page.
Yeah,
so
dude, I smoked crank in a shed with rednecks.
Yeah,
I ain't gonna lie.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a more glamorous life than people realize, I guess.
Yeah, no, I'm glad. I never thought I would get off that shit. I can't believe I am. It's been 6 years now.
Well, it's good you're doing something productive, but something you can't possibly talk about. Yeah, I'm the only thing so I was watching that. So here's my experience with HIV is I was watching that documentary, and what's his name's Andy Warhol's boyfriend ended up dying of AIDS. and he was a pretty like kind of clean living kind of guy. He didn't seem like the type that was. He was like an executive at a movie place and stuff. So I just wonder. I feel like there are people that died of something.
I mean, there's all. I think it's like anything. Well, you know what? That's bringing me up because there's been people telling me, and that's something they did. They were doing these experimental hepatitis B vaccines back then. They're all, like, and I don't really know a lot about that, but I know that comes into play, and I think that could also have been exploited to use to cause something maybe too, because that's what people have said to me. But I think it's multi. I think there's like all kinds of ways that they just kind of clumped it all together. You know,
weird. Well, and
yeah, I know.
And then the other thing that's crazy about it is I met somebody, and then my mom was like a buddy to people with AIDS in the 80s. They called it a buddy, like you'd be friends with somebody until they
help
died.
them out and stuff.
Yeah,
bring them food and stuff. Yeah.
Right.
I saw some videos.
Yeah, my mom did that.
That's cool.
So I was around the people with AIDS, but I don't know what their treatments were and stuff. I just know that it was going on. I was in D.C. at the time, and it was like pretty bad, I guess. It was like some kind of epidemic. Yeah. But then I met someone later in life, like who had, this was really weird and made me think twice about HIV. They said they were HIV positive, but it was undetectable. And they couldn't and they also couldn't transmit it, or they weren't contagious or anything. And I was like, what the hell does that mean? Like, how do you have HIV if they can't test for it? They can't tell you have it, in other words, and you can't pass it on to anybody. So what's that? And she said she was HIV positive. I was like, I don't even understand. So
I know.
How do you have something but that you can't test for at all? That you can't tell you have it, but but you definitely have it.
Yeah, it's that's what's so bad about it, because if you just it's gonna scare the shit out of somebody. Like I took HIV tests back in the day too, and like. I mean, I wasn't shooting up or anything, but I'm a musician, so there's all kinds of nasty groupies and shit, and so, but luckily, it didn't say anything, because then I would have got like some toxic ass medicine for it.
Right. Right.
I don't know about you, but they made me do a TB test at the methadone clinic here. They poked me in the arm, like a little bubble or whatever.
Oh yeah, I think I've had to have that.
Yeah.
Before, whatever that is. Yeah, they do all kinds of crazy stuff.
That's what's weird about this too, though. HIV. It's different in Africa. There's a thing in Africa. They can say all these people are dying from AIDS because there's a lot of malnutrition, there's a lot of tuberculosis, there's a lot of malaria. AIDS in Africa, like, I mean, some places they have HIV tests, but we don't. How good are those? But if they have like, I don't know, a couple symptoms, like they lose like 10 pounds over a certain amount of time, they have diarrhea, or they have malaria or whatever, they can call it an AIDS case. So it's very much exploited. And just like, it's a numbers thing, kind of like we saw them do with this. It's like a numbers game.
Right.
They just exploit numbers.
Right. So I saw that there's a guy that's like the lead of one of the main doctors who's been trying to expose this, who recently is out of commission, right? Because he has aphasia. Is that right?
Oh, Dr. Duesberg. Yeah. Dr. Peter Duesberg.
Yeah.
He was the most vocal against it. Well, see, he's like considered like the father of retrovirology. He mapped like the first, like, I don't know, like it's beyond my comprehension, but he mapped the first like retroviruses or something like that. And he was a very like well-known and high up virologist and stuff. And when he said there's no way that this can cause this, there's and his valid arguments for it, he was just shut up. He was censored. He got his grants taken away, his lab taken away. He kept his job because he was tenured, but he wouldn't get any grad students anymore and stuff. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So you were talking to him while you were doing research about.
Well, I wanted to contact him, so I emailed him, and his wife got back to me and told me that he had a stroke in January of 2021, because I contacted him in August. But because I wanted to start a podcast, and I just like, fuck it, let me try get him. I did do one episode. It's with Dr. William Trebbing. He came to my house actually because he has a practice in South Carolina. Also, he's in Connecticut, I think. So he came to my house and we did it here. But he's an author of Goodbye Germ Theory. He wrote it in 2000, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So I had him over, but I tried to get a old Duesberg, and I heard that. And it sucks because like some of these other scientists over the years have been fighting it. One scientist just died. She was from there's an Australian group that and they kind of proved that it's never been isolated. They explain it. There's a documentary.
Which hasn't been isolated. The HIV virus. Yeah.
Yeah, they explain how they did it and stuff. How what they considered isolation wasn't actually isolation.
Right.
But Elaine, gosh, she had a weird fucking name. Eleni Ellenopoulos. I know it sounds made up, but it's not. That's her name. She was from the scientific group in Australia. She just passed away. And then I just made a video recently called Poison by Prescription, the AZT story by John Larson. It's a book. He just passed away. Duesberg has aphasia. Carrie Mullis passed away in 2019. Wow. I don't know why I'm going with this. I'm kind of high. So
no, that's all right. Well, maybe, I mean, you're hoping that it's not going to be you next, but I guess it's always a risk, right? But
yeah, there's still a bunch of other scientists. I don't even have a GED.
Yeah, right, exactly, so, right. You have to be. Yeah. That's the thing is you're less at risk if you're not so important, right?
Exactly.
If you're not like if you're a real doctor saying shit, then you're in trouble.
Plus, we know they can find ways to censor us. They can digitally assassinate us like they have.
Right, exactly. So yeah, you were thinking about doing a podcast. So what are you doing your stuff on Rockfin now? Because you were on YouTube and you got censored.
I'm on 7. I just upload to 7 platforms. 7. For the videos I make, I upload to Rockfin, Rumble, BitChute. I started another YouTube, so I have YouTube. I even started a Facebook because Rumble lets you syndicate the Facebook, and I'm also on Band.video now. So
right, you're everywhere.
That helps too.
Does it? Does it help?
What is it?
It does help to post everywhere.
It helps get views.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
And then, especially right now, it's an important time. So.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'm on Rockfin. I tried some of the other platforms and stuff, but it's different. I have a different format since I don't make short videos. It's a different format, but
I live stream too, but it's kind of like just me. It's just me to get pay back to people, the subscribers and stuff. We just sit and smoke weed and listen to music and bullshit, so it's nothing serious.
Right.
But I did want to start a real thing too. Right. It didn't have to be like really anything special, but it's just time. It's hard for me to schedule shit with the kids.
Right. So you looked into there are more than one doctor then who's talking about germ theory not being correct, because I had
there's a lot.
Because I had Dr. Kaufman on, and he was the only one I was aware of. Yeah.
Well, Dr. Kaufman had my friend on. He had Dr. Trebbing on. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you were on his show before.
I just don't, personally, I don't buy it. But what?
I mean, that's fine. I'm open. Like, I don't know. Of course, I just said their argument does make sense to me, though.
Right. What about
how the fuck do I know?
What about STDs and stuff, though? Like, how does he explain that? Or even like chickenpox or something?
I don't really know. I haven't gone too specific into it. He might in the book. I'm not sure.
Right.
But I do know, like, there's things like bacterias and, like, there are microscopic things.
Right.
But I think, I don't know if it's all their arguments, but I know a metaphor for it. They poison us in every way. They poison our food, the fluoride in the water, chemicals in the water, the air, dyes in our clothing. Basically, so you take your garbage out and put it by the road, and the trash man never comes. And then a week later, you put more out there, he still never comes, and you start getting rats. There were all these rats. So you go out there killing rats. And then, more time goes by, the trash man never comes. Picks up the trash that's piling up. You keep it. I don't know where these rats are coming from. What caused the rats? It's because it's the toxins. They're coming to eat the toxins. Mm-hmm. So I think that's one theory or one metaphor for one point of view. And I don't know if there's multiple points of view. There might be. Like, I'm not a pro in this or anything. I'm just interested in it, because of the times we're living, of course.
Yeah, right, exactly. Well, it's good to have people that are actually researching this stuff and then can put it out there in some kind of format that people are able to digest. So it's
Well, we're lucky they documented it pretty well. The other point of view, because they were getting censored left and right, they documented it pretty good. There's lots of documentaries. There's hidden.
you mean about HIV and AIDS, you mean,
Yep.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Yeah, it's interesting. They used to talk about stuff more on TV even, right? Did you
Oh
notice
yeah,
that?
I
Yeah.
did. Even recently, well, I mean, like maybe 2 years ago, I made a video about. It was from this 1982 mini documentary thing about the DBT shots causing like well, they said retarded. It was causing like brain damage in kids and shit like that, like 1 in 700 kids or whatever. And they were open about it
Right.
back in 1982.
Right.
They admitted it.
Right.
So
Right. Yeah, it's crazy. They used to do stuff on Geraldo and on some of those other shows too that
yeah,
you just don't see anymore. I mean, you used to see like Ted Gunderson go on those shows, and
yeah.
so what do you
Geraldo.
yeah, I know, but I remember him having on like Michael Aquino and Ted Gunderson on the same show and talking about satanic ritual abuse, and
Yeah,
you just never see anybody tackle any of that stuff anymore.
yeah.
So you were associated. You used to talk to the guys for an Open Secret, and they write for that. What is that thing called where they do blind items?
I used to cover a lot of blind items. Yeah,
Yeah, they have one of the people from Open Secret writes those blind items. I remember.
yeah.
What did you think of Isaac Cappy?
I, di- I mean, I think I didn't know what to think about him really, and so like I agreed with what he was saying at first, but then there was no proof or whatever. But I don't. I'm not one that attacks people or anything, and I feel like I liked him as a person. Like I would like to party with him or something like that. So
Yeah.
that's kind of how I sat with it.
Yeah, he was an all right guy. He was a pretty
Yeah,
good guy, actually. It's just,
yeah,
yeah, it's called Crazy Days and Nights. That's right.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it's been a while. I mean, people want me to make. They're just that those videos take a lot of time. I mean, maybe I'll get back to them, but right now we have other issues,
Yeah.
and
What are the
we're
things?
stuck.
What are the things you're into right now besides the AIDS thing?
That's I keep going back to that. I really do, just because I still feel like we're in this position with Fauci still there. I want to see this out. So many people have kept the torch burning for a long time.
Right.
And
Right.
I feel like we're just like we're in this battle. There's also a journalist that wrote for Spin Magazine back then, and others, Celia Farber, and she's still around. She has a Substack. I don't know why I brought her up, but I'm just thinking of all the people that kept it going for so long because a couple of them just passed away. Like I said.
Right. Right. So you think there's pretty conclusive evidence out there for
I
it?
think so.
Because I saw you were being called a conspiracy theorist. I saw
Yeah.
that your opinion has killed hundreds of thousands of people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
It's my opinion. It's not my opinion. It's a lot. There's a whole story there. There really is. And I was thinking about this today too. Like, I wish I could just put like a long video together of the whole story of, what I don't know if it's together. Like, not like it's in my head at least. It's not out there like that, but I don't know. There's some really good documentaries I can recommend. And plus, I've made a whole shitload of videos about it. And I always source everything. I source
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah, I was just watching one. I mean, people can just go to your Rockfin channel.
That's fine.
Rockfin.com/Jamie DLux. Is that what it is?
I think on Rockfin it's just deluxe, but
Deluxe.
I was censored from Linktree, so I
What's
had to
that?
start. I started. It's kind of like somebody pointed it out to me because I had when I kicked off YouTube, I needed to decentralize and just use a bunch of platforms. So someone's like, you just get this thing and you can put all your links on it. It's kind of like a website, but it's just pretty much your links to all your profiles or whatever. And I was paying $7 a month for it. And after like a year, they kicked me off. They censored me, so I had to
Really?
start a website. Yeah.
What did you
All
get
I put on there
censored
was my
over?
links. I didn't have the money in my bank 1 month for when they wanted to charge me my $7. There wasn't enough in there, so they canceled my account. And I was like, well, I'll put the money in there. Sorry, but why can't I have my account back? I didn't want to cancel it, and I think I'm thinking they saw the Panda video. That's the only thing I could think of. That those links are really really censored. I don't know though, but because they weren't specific about it. They said I violated something.
God.
Putting my own links on there.
Well, yeah, what you're talking about, I mean, here's the thing, is that what you're saying, they're going to say it kills people, right?
Oh, I know. That's what they said to, like, Peter Duesberg.
So I was thinking about, like, whether I would put this on YouTube. Like, I don't know if you're allowed. I mean, it's one of the things they specifically... See, I'm hoping that it doesn't get... Twitter doesn't censor people that much.
Not like that.
Compared to YouTube, it's not.
Oh
even
no,
close.
dude! Like I said, I'm on all these platforms and social medias. YouTube is the fucking worst for censorship. Like 100 times over. I swear to God, like I'm really not censored that many other places. Maybe one or two here and there. YouTube is the worst.
Yeah. I like people talk shit about Twitter all the time. But there are things you can say on Twitter that you just can't say. Like the videos you put up about HIV. Even if you put up those videos on YouTube, I have a feeling they'd figure out a reason to take it down. They would just say it's medical misinformation. So that's where you're running up.
Well, mostly with the HIV ones, I haven't had a problem. There's one. I mean, they have censored a couple. But one I did about Carrie Mullis, it was actually BBC for some reason blocked it. They took... it wasn't a copyright strike or anything, but somehow they blocked it or whatever. I don't know how, but that was blocked, and there was another one I did about Duesberg that was blocked. But those ones I've been all right with. There's actually a lot of HIV videos from this perspective still on YouTube. So I don't know how either, but
there are.
I think as long as you stay away from the C word.
Right. Yeah, and you don't mean cancer, you mean COVID, right?
Yeah,
I know.
That's the main thing.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing about censorship. It's so stupid. It's so arbitrary. There are certain conspiracy theories that are acceptable. So, you can't say the COVID vaccines are killing people, but you can now say
they don't like
AZT
that.
was
They don't
killing
like
people.
that. Don't say that.
Right. And you can talk about the moon landing being fake, but you can't talk about 9/11 necessarily being whatever.
Speaking of all that stuff, I think it was 2018. Me and my mother flew to Massachusetts to pick up a car because my grandmother passed away, and my mom was getting her car. We had to drive back down. We stopped in Newtown, Connecticut, at a gas station, and I just live streamed for like 5 seconds on my live stream channel. Well, maybe 5 minutes. Smoked a cigarette. I'm like, it's weird being here, but it just feels really eerie here. They censored that. You can't talk about that at all.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
So you just live streamed from Newtown, just saying
from a gas station. Just saying it's weird being here, And I showed it was just like an intersection or something. It wasn't really anything. I just overreacted. I was like, it's weird being here, blah blah blah.
Wow, that's crazy. That is maybe the most censored topic, and that's why Alex Jones got censored. And did you ever get into talking about that on any platforms?
No, I never did because I didn't really start until like 2017. So when that happened in 2012, I mean, I was curious about it and stuff, but I was more. I guess I was trying to get off drugs and all that stuff, and I was going through my whole life shit,
Right.
I hit that,
right.
A couple rock bottoms here and there.
Right. Yeah, I went into it, and then I had Wolfgang Halbig on my show. Who,
I think I remember that vaguely.
Yeah, which was always censored, though. It always ended up being censored, and now he's out of the game. But there's some interesting stuff about Sandy Hook that
the most compelling is when that guy
about
smiles.
I know.
When that guy smiles, the dad, supposedly, that's got to make you say something like, "Oh, something's not right."
I know something's not right. That
because I can't even fathom anything even close happening to one of my fucking kids, I can't even fucking I don't even want to go there.
Right.
I'm definitely not going to fucking smile the day after if it happened,
I know.
It doesn't make sense.
I know. It's pretty crazy, and you definitely can't talk about it. Now Alex Jones is in court, but he's not really fighting it. That's the weirdest thing about the Alex Jones Sandy Hook thing is they keep finding him guilty, but it's just because he won't comply with giving them whatever paperwork they want and stuff. I wish you'd just come out and say, oh, well, so what? I said it. There's nothing wrong with that. Because I don't think legally, I don't think they really have a case, but
you're pretty much. I mean, aren't you allowed to say anything?
Yeah, I mean, you're allowed to have opinions about things.
I mean, they can kick you off their certain platforms because private businesses. But like, what else can they? you know?
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, you're allowed to have an opinion about stuff,
Yeah.
but apparently not. Yeah, they have a rule now on YouTube where you specifically just can't deny that a violent, well-documented event took place. You just can't do that. So whatever it was, so theoretically you could say that about Jussie Smollett even, but forget, if you say something was a hoax or a false flag. No, it's just straight up against the rules, which is a shame.
See, mostly what I say is like, I don't say anything's really definitely. I don't think I do. I try not to, at least.
Right.
I'll be like, that's weird.
Right.
You can't say like that. That's kind of weird, isn't it? That's kind of strange. I'm not giving opinions out. I'm saying I think that's weird. Can't say that.
Can't say that anymore. I know.
Yeah, I might be a little more opinionated. What is it?
I tried that for a while too. I tried just saying, "Oh, well, look at this," but
no, strange there.
Yeah, they don't like that either.
Nope.
Yeah, well, that's the boat we're in. Where we have to figure out how to get the word out there one way or another. So I still might try to put this up on YouTube and see what happens to it.
I don't think it was too bad.
I don't think it was too bad. Or you can
clip it, but it's up to you.
Yeah, I'll put it on there. I don't think he said anything. I mean, if it was about COVID, then I think they would probably censor it. But maybe you're in a safe zone, and you do have all those videotapes of people saying the same shit before.
Oh yeah.
So
like I said, anybody interested, I think I'm up to like 23 on my YouTube playlist. Like I said, a couple are censored, but I think I'm up to like 23 videos pertaining to HIV.
Okay.
And this whole thing.
And that's all on YouTube. How do you find your channel on YouTube?
It's just because they kept censoring me. I just put it first. I started the channel as I'm not DLux. That's why it's me crossed out.
Right. Right.
I didn't being an asshole. But it's just DLux.
Right.
Yeah,
it's just
DLux.
DLux. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. That's cool. You're still creating on there. I mean, you can get away with some stuff, so that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just stay away. Do it.
Yeah. Right. Right. Well, is there anything else you want to talk about while you're on? I wanted to make sure to cover this HIV thing.
No, I mean, I'm good. I probably need to go put my kids to bed anyway.
All right, man. Well, it's really good having you on.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
I'm glad to cover this topic.
I remember years ago, we were both on Titus's show together. That's when I first met you, right?
Yeah,
like 4 years ago.
Long time ago.
God damn, we're still doing it.
I know.
It's pretty stressful.
It's crazy. Yeah, well, we'll try to keep it on.
Yeah, good talking to you, and thanks for having me on.
All right, cool. Thanks, Jamie.
All right.
Talk to you later.
Bye, guys.
See ya. All right, thanks, everybody, for tuning in. That was Jamie DLux. Okay, I can do this camera. Make sure to support our sponsors. You can super tip on, and thanks everybody who tuned in over on Rockfin. Good to see everybody. Thanks for the people who dropped tips. Thank you, Media Bear. Says the next gallon of gas is on you. You'll have to tip more than $5 because a gallon here is $6. That's all right. Just kidding. Duluth Hap says, hey, that's my shirt. Oh, I'm wearing the same t-shirt. Thank you, Duluth Hap. Thanks, Matthew Priest, for the tip. Thanks, Jacob's Ladder, for the tip. Appreciate it. Good to see everybody. Glad we were able to get a guest on today. Working on getting more guests. Glad we were able to fix the Rockfin thing. Visit our t-shirts, truthclothing.io. You heard how to find Jamie DLux on YouTube, rockfin.com, rokfin.com/DLux. And then make sure you also go to JJCBDRub at jjcbdrub.com for CBD stuff. And if you need help with cryptocurrency, follow the link in the description. You can also join our crypto Discord. I forgot to ask him about crypto. I should have done that, but it was great having him on. All right. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Maybe we'll see you tomorrow night around 5 p.m. Pacific time, 8 p.m. Eastern time. This was the Lift the Veil show, and that is what it is.